In part 1 we discovered that finding the best way to play the original 2D Sonic games is not as straightforward as you would hope. We also found that the Sonic Mania team made high quality widescreen versions of Sonic 1, 2 and CD for mobile. In a sane world, Sega would have released these versions on Switch and current gen. In reality, Sega has stayed consistent to their previous behaviour. The new release of Sonic 1 as part of the Sega Ages collection on the Switch is not the widescreen remake by Taxman, it's another emulated version. To be fair, there's some extra features including Drop Dash, which is great, but you can't play as Tails or Knuckles, and there's only time trial available for one level. It's really difficult to add new functionality to emulated ROMs because you're effectively restricted to the limitations of the original hardware. For whatever business reasons, Sega are not picking up Taxman's versions as the new gold standard, and this means these superior versions may be stuck on the platforms they are already on. Let's take a look at the mobile remakes and see why I think they are better. I originally bought the Sonic 1 mobile version as soon as it came out, but I found the touch controls made it too frustrating to play, so I forgot all about it. When I returned to do this research, I discovered that Sega had swapped out the paid version and replaced it with a free version, which is infested with adverts. There is a restore purchase option, but it doesn't work. You can, however, go into the Play Store history and download it from there. If you never bought it in the first place, then your only option is to buy the new ad-free version, except from it's not ad-free. Sega reserved the right to feature other Sega games. Anyway, so here we are in game. Here's the widescreen. It looks fantastic, it's super smooth, but I'm trying to play with touch controls and it's awful. Sonic games require perfectly balanced control and momentum. The momentum is perfect, but the controls are almost useless. This is simultaneously one of the best and worst versions of Sonic 1. But these versions do have controller support, and in theory we could Chromecast them to a TV. We can also turn off these virtual thumbsticks so we don't have to suffer them on a big TV screen. Let's test some Bluetooth wireless controllers. First up, PS4 pad. After a bit of mucking around, it works, but you can clearly see there is lag, and not all presses are even registering. You might be thinking it's probably your smashed up budget phone screwing things up, but I've tried on better devices and the result is always the same. Next up, Switch controller. Again, it works, but again, there's way too much lag to be playable. Finally, an Xbox One controller. So this older version with a separate plastic section here won't work. This newer version with the plastic all in one part does support Bluetooth and will work. And it works perfectly. Why it works so well for the Xbox controller and not for others, I don't know. But even when controllers do work, they sometimes get confused about whether you're connected or not. Sometimes it will list the same controller as a new controller, rather than reconnecting as the one you've already registered. Overall, controller support on Android seems a bit of a mess. So let's attack the problem from a different angle. You can emulate Android on PC. There are several options, and some even make a point about catering towards gamers. This is BlueStacks. I tried several emulators and struggled to get gamepad mapping set up properly. Bluetooth doesn't seem to be supported by any of the emulators I tried. A wired pad can be set up. You may need to use a tool like Input Mapper to map your control presses to the keyboard. So getting into the game is a bit of a mess as the pad controls don't map, and you have to use the mouse to navigate the menus. In-game looks great though, it feels brilliant, it's very smooth, it's exactly what we were trying to achieve. However, there are little freezes here and there which seem to happen at random times. It's nothing to do with going at speed. It may look slight on YouTube, but when you're playing it ruins gameplay completely. It's probably possible to fix somehow, but I really don't have the time to chase bugs like this around. I want a perfect solution. Fortunately, there are more options. Let's just take a step back and have a look at Sonic CD. This is the first official Sonic game Taxman recreated. It really is an amazing piece of work. Sadly, in the mobile version you can't actually disable with virtual thumbsticks. This isn't actually a problem, since this version is widely available on the PC and consoles, but somehow I'd forgotten this and started furiously seeking possible ways to get rid of the pads on Android builds. What I did discover is that the Ouya version does not have virtual thumbsticks on screen. Fortunately, this bizarre and unnecessary tangent gave me an idea. Any Android TV box with even a modest amount of power should be able to run these Sonic remakes, and would hopefully have better controller support. This led me to the Fire TV. This is Amazon's set-top box for streaming TV, and they even have their own store with their own copy of Taxman Sonic 1, 2 and CD, and these versions don't even have adverts. In the next part, I'm going to throw out my smashed phone and show some quality footage that we can get running on the Fire TV.